Hey everyone, my name is Eric, and I thought I would do a video. I noticed that there was a lot of, need, want, requests for, or just people asking like, how do you have your stuff set up? How are you using Stable Diffusion? What are your workflows? And I've been working with Stable Diffusion pretty much since the beginning. And before that, I worked with DALL-E 2 and back in March of last year when it first came out. And I just fell in love with image generation, and I thought I would take some time to, I guess in this first video, I'm going to just go through and talk about my hardware setup, how I have my software set up, how I organize my directories, which may not be the best organization in the world, but it helps, I guess, for the most part with my workflow. So yeah, as you can see, I use Stable Diffusion. I'm using the Automatic1111 interface, and what's interesting about this is I actually have it right now pointed locally. I actually have it set up so that I can access it from anywhere on my phone. I'll admit it, I'm pretty much addicted to this. I've been addicted to it for a while. And a long time ago, I figured out how to port it and route it through my router so that I can access it from my phone anywhere I want. And so I could be in bed, I could be at work, I could be, whatever. And I get a sudden itch to see a particular image or generate an image. And I can do that from anywhere. And my computer back at home is what renders it, and I get to see it on my phone. I may go through that in another tutorial, another video to show people how to set that up if you really want. Again, I'm using Automatic1111. They've got a couple new interfaces, or at least one other that I'm kind of playing with, but this is kind of home for me. I don't have much going on up here other than the standard stuff. I'm going to be playing around with this canvas editor, but I got the standard text to image, extras, PNG info, image browser, the newer image browser. The original one that you could get for it, they just stopped developing. I guess somebody ported a branch. Then we got a prompt generator, which honestly I never really use, but it's there in case I want to kind of mess around with it. I honestly use ChatGPT to generate all my prompts now, and I'll give you a little sample of that maybe at the end of the video, or during the video I'll show you what I do with there. I usually leave everything pretty standard. There are a few extensions that I do utilize that I find almost invaluable in order to maintain certain things. Like, there's a standard 768. I only deal in models, or I typically only use models that are the 2.1 768. I don't use the 1.5. I know a lot of people love that, but with the results that I get from the 2.1 768 models, I'm sorry, I can't really go back. I love getting the detail. I love getting the dynamic capabilities that it has when you're using the proper negative prompts and whatnot. It blows everything else out of the water. Yes, that's a circle. I had the AI generate a perfect circle. I just wanted to see if it could do it. Anyway, so back to text to image. So a couple of plugins I use. I do use the, in fact, we'll go over here and look at the extensions. So automatic background remover is something that goes in the extras tab. It allows you, when it's set up right, to remove backgrounds. Like let's say you're generating icons and things like that. Excuse me. It'll remove the background and put a flat black background, which makes it easier to convert over to other things. Something I should probably go over, my system. Okay, so before I go any further, my system, I know this is kind of disorganized, and I hope you don't mind. I'm running in a, what is it, I think it's a 10th or 11th generation i7. It's like 10 cores with hyper-threading, so it's like 20 cores. I got 128 gigs of DDR4 memory. A 2 terabyte system drive, a solid state system drive, NVMe, and then a 1 terabyte NVMe extra drive I use for other things. And then I got a 4 terabyte Samsung SSD SATA drive that I store all my dynamic data on. Oh, and I'm running an NVIDIA. I don't know what it's like. I don't remember what it's called, but it's the NVIDIA RTX 3080 Ti card. It's a specific one. Branded. It's an NVIDIA branded card. Anyway, it's got 12 gigs of VRAM on it. It works really well. When I first got into Stable Diffusion, that's what I actually decided to upgrade to. It was worth the expense for me to have that major speed boost. I was using an RTX 2080 before, and it was okay, but I really wanted the speed boost. I wanted to be able to do more than one or two images at a time in the batch size with higher resolutions, and the 3080 Ti works really well for that. I know there's cards that have up to 24 gigs. I don't really see a need for that right now, but I actually took the 2080 RTX 2080, put in a second system, and I have it running as a secondary Stable Diffusion render that I sometimes let my friends use or whatever if they want to get in and render some things. So I do have the tiled diffusion extension with the tiled VA. I use those to do my upscaling, and I'll show you that in my processes here in the next video, or my workflow. For those of you who may be just watching this for the first time, sampling steps really is how many steps the AI takes to render the image. I typically don't find it useful to do anything over 30 to 40. I'm usually right at about 35. Seems to work fine for me. Sometimes I'll go a little lower if I want to render a little quicker. I do love rendering things in standard format. So like I will put it at 1152. I find is a pretty good one for the width. Like if I'm doing landscape, I know I can type it in. I hate how they change this, and I know I can change the configuration file to change the steps on that. But then I use this right here, which is the it's the what do you call it? Where is it? It's the aspect ratio helper extension. Anyway, it basically allows you to select your aspect ratio, but you set this, then you select your aspect ratio, and it sets that. And then what you can do is you can actually lock it. It's pretty cool because then you can change this, and it changes the height aspect ratio as well, keeping that aspect ratio, which is super helpful when you're trying to generate things that will fit standard canvas sizes or whatnot. Config scale, I don't usually go anything above 10. I'll mess around between 6 and 10 around in there. Restore faces I definitely use. Let's see, control net I use sometimes when I feel curious. It's not something I've really pushed a whole lot because there's quite a few steps to be able to get things to work right in that, and I may go through that later if anybody's interested. So I do use the config presets extension. It comes in pretty handy when you want to have, they got the preset ones, but I have a 16:9 4-render one here, which basically sets it up to do 1152 by 647, 4 renders at 30 steps, and at the DPM++ SD Keras. I do use the Illuminati Diffusion. This is the original Illuminati Diffusion V1 before they, I guess, sold the name to some render farm somewhere. I don't know. There's another one. As you can see, I got a ton of models. They got another Illuminati Diffusion. This is something that somebody created trying to mimic the models. I guess they use the same weights and everything, but I've tried it. It does not produce the same results as Illuminati Diffusion. Illuminati is an amazing model. If you can get a hold of it, it's a great one. I know there's a lot of other ones out there that are great. So you pick your whatever it is you want and work with it. Let's see. I do use the newer image browser. This is one you may want to get. It's different than the one that's in the extensions. Like when you do a search for the extensions under available, it's actually different than the one that's here. You have to actually go get the URL for it, which you'd want to go here and grab that URL and do an install from URL for it. It's a much nicer one, gives you a lot more capabilities, a lot of search capabilities, which is super nice when you're looking for specific things that you know you did something on, and you're having a hard time finding it, it gives you the ability to search within your prompt and within the negative prompt. Makes it very nice to organize things. Has all the other standard stuff the other one did. All right, what else? Let's go back to extend. Any other extensions I want to talk about? I have a lot installed that I haven't really used yet. Inspiration, I have used that one. I did generate all the images for it. Sometimes I go into that. Pixelization I've used. That's one that goes into the extras, and you enable this here, and it takes, and you can adjust the pixel size here, but it takes whatever image you have here and it'll pixelize it, making it look like 8-bit, 16-bit, whatever art. Super cool to be able to use that kind of thing, and I've generated some screens for a potential Space Quest type game that I was thinking about making. Anyway, so I think that's about it. Yeah, so again, I just installed Vector Studio. I was going to play around with that one, but honestly, it looks, I might mess with it a little bit more, because I did go through a phase of creating coloring book pages, which were nice. I actually could generate just stunning coloring book pages that didn't require any other extensions or LoRa's or textual inversions or anything. I just figured out the prompt that would get me the results I want. They turned out really well. Okay, so let me go through a standard like render session here. Generating something. Again, I've done the whole, we'll just say typing in your prompt, right? High tech city with plants hanging off of the buildings. Oops. Futuristic. HD, 8K, we all do 8K or whatever. And we'll do cinematic. Okay. I do have negative prompts. I got a series of negative prompts. This is something you'll want to use, as the styles and putting in your own styles. And I have specific negative prompts based on what it is I'm doing, but I do have a prime negative I use that just is kind of a good negative prompt for everything. So we'll leave everything else the same. I'm going to do 4 images, and we'll just do that. So this is kind of like how most people do it. They're just trying to figure out, what it is they want to see, and typing it in, and then hoping something comes out. I'm not a very creative person. I have a, and this is maybe what a lot of artists sit there and complain about with people who do AI is like, oh, you're not creative, you're letting the AI do everything for you. And maybe that's true a little bit to an extent. I took a lot of art classes, but I'm an impulsive, impatient person. I never could finish any of my art pieces. There's a couple that were easy because they were quick, glass etchings or tile, whatever. But when it came to drawing, color pencil, charcoal, whatever, man, I just had no patience for it. I just couldn't stand how long it took, and I never could finish anything. And man, when AI came out, that was like the impulsive dream come true, And anyway, so these are okay, They look fine. They're pretty standard for what a lot of people might see. And the negative prompt, that probably definitely helps with that, just so you can see what it looks like. I'll push it over here. So that's the actual negative prompt. I am using within it the neg mutation 200 textural inversion. If you don't know what textural inversions are, you might want to learn about them. They are very, very useful in attaining certain effects, and that's what this one is, the neg mutation 200. It's like taking the standard negative prompts and putting it all into one thing, but I add on top of that a lot of stuff. So that's what we get here, but I want something that just has a lot more impact. And so I actually went through and created a ChatGPT prompt pre-prompt, whatever you want to call it. I've been working with ChatGPT for a while. I do consider myself a prompt engineer, as a lot of people like to call it. Just understanding how the AI is going to react and how it's going to make certain things. So what I want to do, I want to take this, and we're going to copy that. We're going to go over here. We're going to go into my SD prompt writer. And so I'm not going to show you the whole prompt up here, just that's kind of my thing and how I'm wording it. So when I submit that, it comes back till it says, tell me what you want to see. So I come up here and we'll change this, get rid of that, and we're going to put in high-tech city with plants hanging off the buildings, futuristic 8K cinematic. But I'm going to put in some other stuff. Be very creative in building styles and plant types. But I also want, at the beginning, I'm going to also say, give me 5 high quality prompts for, and then the high-tech city with plants, hanging off buildings, futuristic, whatever. Okay. So I want 5 really high quality prompts. Okay. With these characteristics, I'm going to tell it, I want to give it, get some variation in it. Let's see building styles and plant types. And let's also, with different times of day. All right, hit that, and it's going to go through and render that here. Okay, so I paused the video there because sometimes, working with GPT-4, it generates these a little slower. So let's go through these. I have it trained so it knows when I want high quality, I always want these 3 things at the very beginning of every prompt. Best quality, 1.4, masterpiece 1.4, detailed 1.3. So these are strength characteristics. And then everything else, it's been trained to add details using words that I may not even know about, and artist styles, that kind of thing, and it knows and changing the camera type too. So as you can see, high-tech city at dawn, eco-friendly skyscrapers, hanging gardens, diverse flora, biophilic architecture, solar-powered buildings, lush rooftop terraces, sunrise, colors, 1.3. So I've told it that based on what it wants in the image to emphasize using this format, various aspects of the prompt. Crisp morning air, Zaha Hadid and Vincent Calibo inspirations. I don't know if I pronounced those right, but we're going to take that. I just want to see what that looks like, and we're going to move that over in here, and we'll replace that with that description. We're just going to do 2, just to speed things up a little bit, and hit generate. As you can see, you're getting much higher quality, like structure and design and detail in something that looks a little more purposeful. So this is what we have. So we're at golden hour. You can see a lot of little details in there. Obviously, we're only working 1152 by 647, but it looks good. It looks like a really nice city block with some pretty high-tech buildings. Let's take a look at the other one. This one looks even better. I love the swooping effect through here. That's pretty nice. Let's grab one of the other prompts here and see what it looks like. Now, there is a way you can actually take all of these prompts, and at least the way you can actually submit multiple prompts through a script called prompt from file or a text box, and you can basically put all those prompts right in here and then have it render each one of those prompts based on the settings you have up here. I might do that here in just a second. I just want to see one more render with this second prompt. Oh, oops. Let's shut that off. Try it again. So this one is futuristic city at midday, cutting edge structures, vertical gardens, exotic plants, dynamic shapes, green facades, energy efficient buildings, bright sunlight, vibrant colors, Norma Foster and Stefano Bori styles, wide angle shot. Those aren't bad. They're getting a little closer in, so you're getting some people down in there. Definitely some green structure going on. different plant types. You got some flower gardens, people out there. These are definitely some things that you could go through, upscale, and they would look gorgeous. So just to show you what the multi-prompt render looks like, we're going to grab all that, come back over here, and we're going to go down to the script. We're going to select prompts from file or text box, and we're just going to go in here and paste those in there. And a couple things you want to be sure you do in this is make sure there's always a space between each prompt. Okay, make sure there's no spaces before the first prompt or any other characters, or else it'll error out. And then just set your settings. We're just going to do one image of each, and I think that's it. I mean, that's all we're going to do. So we'll just hit generate on that. Make sure you don't, so once you put that in, it ignores this. It's going to pretend like there's not even a positive prompt there, but it does pay attention to your negative prompt. Wow, look at the intricacy there. So as you can see, it moves on to each prompt individually. It looks like we're getting more of a street level shot on this one. Getting some definite sunset going on here with some trees and a little more high-tech buildings, blocky, sophisticated look. I have my settings set to show closest render as it renders, so it's not the exact image, so everything looks a little fuzzy. The reason I do that is it tends to handle better over a cell connection. So like when I'm doing these kind of things from my phone, I can watch the image generate even over like 4G LTE kind of stuff. So, and there we go. So should pop all those down so we can browse through those. Those are not bad. Those are quite pretty. This one here, right here, looks a lot like something you'd see in like a, I don't know, like a presentation for maybe a building proposal or something like that. It just looks way too clean and almost 3D rendered with these trees the way they are. Probably would never pick that one. This one's a little interesting. I don't know what these things hanging off the buildings are. Getting something down here looks like a park or something. Sunset in the sky and the city skyline look great. This one's interesting. Definitely a lot of greenery going on these green buildings. Anyway, so that's that part of the process. I don't know if anybody's interested. You know, I'm trying to decide what to do with my specialized prompt because it works flawlessly. This is something that I'm trying to see if, you know, if there's something I can do to monetize on that. I know it's a prompt and we should be sharing that, but this took a while to get it to where it worked as well as it does. I can even say low quality prompt for a portrait of an old man. Just give me a oops. Let's refresh that. ChatGPT does this thing where if you're not using it for like 30 seconds, you have to refresh the connection. It's highly annoying. I've only been doing it for like the last week or so. So as you can see, it keeps these here, but it drops the number at the end, so it only emphasizes them a little bit. And then it just adds a few details. Portrait of an old man, weather face, gentle eyes, subtle smile, neutral background, muted color, soft lighting. So super basic, low quality prompt, something that you would probably just type in yourself, but I didn't have to. I just give it something to kind of work from. We're going to shut this off down here. I'm going to generate one, but I want to see something that is, excuse me, a little more of a portrait size. So we'll see how that handles that size. It is a little over the 768, but I find that a lot of the times it's able to handle that fairly well. So I mean, it uses things that sometimes I wouldn't have even thought of, you know, like gentle eyes, subtle smile, muted colors, and soft lighting, you know, and what it gives you is just this beautiful image that has the detail in the hair and the eyebrows and the bags under the eyes. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it here at this. The next one I will go into will probably be my upscaling, or the whole workflow, dealing with generating something that I like, and stepping it through the upscale process, doing an in-painting, what models to use for that, and then taking it to extras and doing the final upscale to get the final image that I want. And I appreciate it. Anybody who decided to take time to listen to this. I know it was a little long, not your standard, 2-minute impulse video on YouTube, but I think this is valuable information for anybody who's interested in learning more about this. I do have a lot of insight, and I'm hoping to share that with a lot of people. So, talk to you later.